So Vanguard just released their annual retirement account report, right? They analyzed 5 million accounts, retirement accounts, and the numbers are alarming, but not for the reason people think. There's a crisis affecting our ability to retire and with dignity and live with dignity, but not just among the poor who haven't saved much of anything, but really among the high income earners who have a bigger cliff to fall off of if we don't do something about it, and pretty quickly. First, let me give you the numbers. Here's what they say. The average balance of a retirement account is $167,000. That doesn't sound so bad. I mean, it's not enough to retire on, but the average is 167. It's something, right? It's worth mentioning and something. However, that's the average, not the median. And the average can be very much skewed by the higher accounts, by the very wealthy, those who have $2 to $5 to $10 million in their retirement accounts. So the more important number is the median. The median retirement account balance is $44,000. That's not enough to retire on. That's not enough to last a year, really. Not necessarily. And we all know Social Security is not going to do it. And very few of us have pensions anymore, so what do we got? Well, we have to create our own. Oh, by the way, for those who are 55 to 64, that median balance is $94,000, which is better. It's getting there. But everyone says, financial planners will have the 4% rule. You can withdraw 4% annually of your account, and it will last probably as long as you live. Your money won't outlast you. Except $95,000, well, that's $317 a month. That's probably not going to be enough to live on either. So we got to do something about this. I've heard commentators comment on this very report from Vanguard and say, well, it's time to start stepping up our 401k contributions. And I totally agree with that, 100%. But remember, the 401k limit this year is $24,500 that you can put in. If you have a 401k program where your employer matches it at 3%, 5%, whatever percent, I would max that out because it's free money. It's not only free money, it's included in your payroll, right? It's included, at least from the employer's standpoint, whether you take it or you don't take it, it's still a cost of employing you. It's part of your income. And so you got to go get it. So I would definitely do the 401k match and max out your 401ks as much as possible. But then I've heard at least two other commentators on this Vanguard report say, okay, we just got to keep saving because we've got to get to enough that the 4% rule matters. Well, here's the problem with that, in my opinion, and I think you'll agree with me. The problem is, even if you could save enough to save, $2.5 million, where the 4% rule kicks in and really matters, by the time you retire, all it is reverse engineering, putting money in and compounding, and now you're taking money out and dwindling that account. And I get it. It's there. It's your money. You want to spend it at some point if you need it. It's there for you. But I think there's a better way. If we think not in terms of earning, or compound interest, but of owning assets, the cash flow, well, that changes the game a little bit. Because if we own enough assets that cash flow, we don't need potentially to draw down anything. We can let that compound and cash flow on itself as well. Or it's there for emergency when a major illness happens or something like that, right? Or you just want to take an awesome vacation. So let's talk about owning though. What do you own? Well, things that produce cash, right? This is what wealthy people do, at least most of them. They own a business. A lot of people get wealthy owning a business because, well, obviously it just spews off cash. If the business is doing well and it's healthy, it spews off cash. And it doesn't have to be a large business. It can be a small one. But it still produces enough cash that you can comfortably live on. Especially if you have systems in place. Now, if it's self-employed, if it's all you, well, that depends on you. If you get sick, the business stops. So hopefully it's something that can at least grow into something that exists, at least for a small period of time, without you being present. What else? Well, any sort of cash flowing real estate, right? A lot of people like single family homes or duplexes. Some people want to raise money from friends and acquaintances and do a syndication and buy apartment buildings. Great. If that's you, that's awesome. Some people want to, they like the strip malls, right? Because a triple net lease is kind of nice because you don't really have to worry about much of anything as far as things breaking down, because the tenant just signed a triple net lease and it's their problem. They are responsible for fixing it. A lot of people like an industrial warehouse type space right now because it's needed. In a lot of cities, there's a dearth of it. There's not nearly enough. And then RV parks, people love that. There's a myriad of ways. But what I would suggest is fixate in on one and kind of become the expert. Network around. Get to know people who own those assets. Get to know the brokers who sell those assets. Get to know others who finance those assets, right? And dig into one and really know that asset class really well and start buying as soon as possible. The other, of course, is dividend paying stocks, and then there's others as well. My point is, if we take this crisis really of being able to retire in America for a majority of Americans, I mean, there's 5 million accounts, that's a lot. It's indicative of enough that a majority of Americans have between $44,000 and $95,000 on average in their retirement accounts, and that ain't gonna cut it. So let's start building. Let's build, quickly and together, but smartly. If you spend some time and effort and energy becoming an expert in one area of an asset that you can buy over time, the cash flows, you're going to create cash flow that lasts the rest of your lifetime potentially, so that you don't have to rely only on the 401k and drawing it down and watching that dwindle every single month instead of grow. And you don't have to rely on Social Security because I think it's going to be there. Maybe. That would be my suggestion to take away from this, is sometimes it takes kind of a wake-up call. And a wake-up call is, well, look at your own balances in your Roth IRA and your 401k and your retirement accounts. And if it's not where it needs to be, well, let's make a change and start building up and owning assets. Cody Sanchez is a great example. If you don't know her, look her up. She's like the boring business guru right now. Buy boring businesses, right? And I really like her. She says, and I can't remember the number, there's X number of baby boomers who are retiring, who own businesses, who are retiring every single day in this country. And what are they doing with their businesses? Well, a lot of times their kids don't want to take them over, so they don't pass them down. So they either shut them down or they sell them. But sometimes you can get a decent deal if you want to buy something like that. So that's just one more idea. Again, whatever area you look into, business or real estate or dividend stocks or whatever it may be, just pick one and only one for now and really dig deep into it and figure out, how do I grow this and grow my cash flow so that the cash flow coming in, whether I'm working or not that day, still funds my lifestyle. It's not going to happen overnight. I realize that, and you realize that. It's probably not going to happen in a year, but in a few years, it's funny, I can't remember who said, I think it was Tony Robbins, but I could be wrong, said we overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, and we underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade. Now, a decade's going to come. Whether you do something different or not, you're still going to live another decade, I hope. And you might as well live it doing something that creates this cash flow and this peace in your life, right? So that the money part is taken care of. Forrest Gump, right? One less thing we have to worry about. And create new skill sets as well. Once we stretch ourselves and we're becoming something greater than we were today for tomorrow, we're becoming, and becoming makes us happy. That's one of the sources of happiness, is becoming. So I want that for you, both financially and in your psychological life and relationship life. So hopefully you take this into account and read this Vanguard study, reflect on your own accounts, and if it's not where you need it to be, well, maybe you need to do something a little bit different, like start looking at how do you start gaining and owning assets. Instead of earning, start owning. Hope that helps.